fife and drum band.
Just so you know, I'm doing a live YouTube video, okay?
That was, of course, the New York Volunteer, mixed on from an earlier tune, and most of these were just simply reworded. Blue Flag. Now this started off as Bonnie Blue Flag, which was very much a Confederate tune, the Bonnie Blue Flag, the flag that bears the single star. The Union rewrote the words and called it Reply to the Bonnie Blue Flag. The Confederates rewrote the words again and called it, rather imaginatively, Reply to the Reply of the Bonnie Blue Flag. Recognise this St John Brown's body, that's what it is. But it was sung by an Ohio regiment. The very famous abolitionist lady heard it. She fell asleep, woke up, and had a religious experience, and rewrote the words into the back of the hymn of the Republic on the back of a postage stamp. This song is still sung as a protest for freedom today. Ladies and gentlemen, give it a round of applause for the fife and drums of the American Civil War Society. Now, I believe you guys are going to stay where you are, aren't you? And the other guys are going to walk around just so we're going to ask the people of the Union Army to do some manoeuvres, and then we're going to show you some of the technology that the Union had, which the Confederacy was not given access to because the Union had all the industrial might to do so. So, over to you, Sergeant Major. While they're forming up, I'll tell you a little bit about the uniforms. Unlike our earlier display with the Confederacy, you can see that we have a huge amount of uniformity. Essentially, the US government decided that they were going to keep the Union blue, which is the Union blue that the regulars had to start with. The light blue trousers meant that you were a conscript, the dark blue trousers meant you were a regular. Essentially what happens is, at the beginning of the war, they all wore different types of uniforms. Some wore frock coats. I'm seeing if we've got somebody in a frock coat, very similar to the captain's coat, came down to the knee. And some wore their militia jackets from their state. In fact, we've got a few of the New York state jackets on the third row, second one in and the one closest to me. And one of our band members, the bass drum, is wearing a New York militia jacket. But what actually happens is these rather fine uniforms were supplemented by something called a sack coat, a very simple four-button sack coat that the troops were issued for fatigues, for working in, for cutting wood, for collecting water. And what happened is the soldiers sent all of their fancy uniforms home and just lived in this. And by the end of the war, most of them, and this, what we get, this four-button sack coat, this forage hat. The sharpshooters on the end, by the way, in the war between the blue and the green, sorry, the blue and the grey, are wearing green. A man called Birdown decided...
Right shoulder, shift!
There we go. A man called Birdown decided he wanted a regiment of people who had some rudimentary camouflage. So their uniform is green, their button is black, but they are full-length frock coats, which I was talking about. They were also equipped with Sharps rifles, and we'll see something about that in a moment. Now this is a wheel. If you're on a battlefield and your enemy's not conveniently in front of you, you can use a wheel to move your army to face. A wheel is not normally a battlefield manoeuvre, it's normally a parade ground manoeuvre. But it was famously used in one occasion. Now there we go, 2s to 4s. When you're fighting two ranks deep, because actually any more than that and you can't actually fire over each other. So 2 ranks deep, and they went 2 to 4. So 4, when you're 4 across, this is how you would march down a road. So you want to march down a road 4 across, because then your army is only half as long as you need it to be when you get on a battlefield where you need to be 2 across. The problem is, of course, is if something happens where you need to go back into line, this is what you need to do. So the Union Army there goes straight. Now that's if the enemy was in front of you. So there you go. The army in front of you, so you can go straight into the line of battle. You're going to wheel again. During the Confederate display that all of the troops, 99% of the troops, were armed with the 58 caliber muskets, rifle muskets, or the 5.77 rifle muskets. The most common type of musket during the American Civil War, by the way, it depends who you ask. If you ask the Americans, they'll say it's the Springfields, because there's 1.4 million. If you ask anybody else, they'll say, hang on, by model, the Pattern 58 Enfield is 800,000. There is only 700,000 of each model of Springfield. Therefore, by model, the most common American Civil War rifle is the British-made Pattern 58 rifle musket. 95% of all the gunpowder during the war was in fact supplied by England, but for both sides. And the last 5% was made commercially using their charcoal, but effectively the saltpeter came from the Dutch East Indies, which at the time was owned by England. So when people say, how does this war affect England? Well, we affected it, that's for sure. But the Union was already looking ahead, and not all of the troops were armed with this. The Union had begun to look at breech-loading rifles. So you'll notice that the sharpshooters, some of the sharpshooters were armed with what they call...
behind the bin.
The Sharps rifle. The Sharps rifle, by the way, was a breech-loading rifle that could fire 7 rounds a minute. So rather than stuffing the ammunition down the end of the barrel like a muzzle loader, like I'd already done before. You simply opened the breech, loaded it from the rear, and were able to fire from there. It was expensive, it cost a lot more than the other rifles, and the other rifles they didn't want to stop supplying because they had to buy all the ones from England to stop the Confederacy buying them, and also they thought that if you gave a man a rifle and fired faster, he'd just blow through all his ammunition. But the Sharps rifle simply proved its worth. It had an unfortunate after history, of course, because it was sold, it wasn't accepted for military use after the war. It was sold en masse to the general public, and it was, of course, the gun that killed Lord Marbury, which is the sad history of the ending of the Sharps rifle. Now, we're going to change position to right shoulder shift, the gun goes high away from the sideline of the body. When you've got a gun down the sideline of your body, it's very difficult to do anything but walk. Any attempt to run will immediately mean that it's ramming against you. Of course, if you've got the gun up high out of the way, out of the twisting torso middle, you can't run with your gun. They're going to open order now. This would normally do an inspection. Now the Union Army, I believe, is doing this so they can show you both sides of the arena what they're going to do. So there we are. Right shoulder shift, left foot up high. This is the position you could run in carrying a musket, or a rifle musket. Shoulder arms. Each position you pass through shoulder arms, so you always see shoulder arms as your middle. Support arms. Support arms puts the rifle to the side. Support arms actually standing in, and a good alternative too. Shoulder arms. Order arms is when you're on sentry, or when you stood down, or when you're waiting instructions, so your soldiers don't get attacked. Out arms is actually laid the right down in order. Now this means that if you were to order these men to perform the tasks, they're ordered back into the ranks. Where they end up standing is exactly where their guns were. The guns are placed on the ground with the locks up. Raise arms.
Oh, James is down.
To recover the guns. Charge arms.
Wasn't loud enough.
Charge bayonets. This is how you were charging men. So the bayonet would be at chest height or just below. There is another one which is called guard against cavalry, where the bayonet is high. Trail arms. Trail arms, you hold the centre of the gun, and the trail arms means that as you're walking along, you should just be able to hold the gun in one hand as you're walking along. Trail arms is quite a lazy position. It's also a matter of knowing where the midpoint of your own gun is. With bayonets on. Now secure arms is this one. Now secure arms is very unusual because secure arms is actually about protecting the gun. If it's raining, this is where you would go. The gun is turned upside down with the lock on the inside of the uniform sleeve, which means that if it rains, the gun is pointed down so no water goes down the barrel, and the lock of the gun is kept dry by the soldier.
I don't know if he's looking this way or not, but he's going to be a few minutes.
And that way, the gun can survive the rainstorm very happily, and of course the soldier gets wet through. But the gun cost them the US government.
I knew he was. I know, I saw.
demonstration right in the middle of the field, and we're going to ask a soldier with a sharp's rifle to come and join us. He goes straight down his leg, because of course he's not expected to ride a horse. And off they march. Ladies and gentlemen, give a final round of applause for the Union Army. And with that, my job today is done, and I'm going to hand you back over to the Master of Ceremonies. Again, Marbury Merry Days, thank you very much. Thank you for making the best days possible, and I hope to see you again. Thank you very much indeed. It's always great to have you guys here. Thank you for that. So, so